Good evening. I love it. They feed you wine and then they bring an economist on who's probably the most depressing person on earth. My wife has been very complaining to me that we never get invited anywhere now because I'm sort of known as Dr. Doom. So I want to try and dispel a little of that, and you'll notice where I put the arrow, it's beyond depression and it's moving up to hope. So what I thought I would do this evening is a couple of things. One, sort of look at where's the national economy going right now. Two, how about the Inland Empire? And then three, at the end, I have a bunch of data about Menifee that none of you have seen. And the reason I know that is it came out on Monday from the Bureau of the Census, and we didn't have Menifee until this week. So I pulled a lot of those data to take a look at it. To start out by, first of all right, are we going to work? Oh, we're going to turn it on. All right. Where is my computer? It's down there. It was working. Well, tell you what, I'll come down here and give my speech. Okay. There we go. All right. Going to reorganize things here a little bit. You can't. It's too complex for that. Not that you couldn't do it, Councilwoman, but nobody can do it. This is a picture of the American economy, job creation, and job destruction over the period of the last several years. You see there the Great Recession, all those negative bars. Then you see three really tall bars right here. Don't get really excited about that job creation. That was the census. Now we get four negative bars. Don't get depressed. That's laying off all the census workers. But in general, you see here a bunch of positive bars. The question is, what has it done for us? And the answer is, we have added back 4.44 million jobs since March of 2010. We are back halfway in terms of the jobs destroyed. We've gotten half of them back. So we are slowly seeing things improve. For any of us, it's too slow. And the question is, what's the pattern we're looking at here? Well, economists love letters of the alphabet. So one letter is V. That is a recession where you're in and out in a hurry. Some of you remember the dot-com recession at the beginning of the last decade. We were in it and out of it really fast. It is pretty obvious that this is not that. Second letter of the alphabet is U. You're in it for a while, and then you come charging out of it. That's actually the fairly typical pattern. Unfortunately, this is not that, obviously. So what were we worried about? L. You go down and you never come back. And it was beginning to feel like that's what was going on. In fact, the form that we're looking at is really a check mark. Steep decline, very long, slow recovery, and I will tell you, it makes absolutely no difference. Obama, Romney, Republican, Democrat, go back and get the old Whig party. I don't care who it is, it's going to look like that. Now, why is that? For several reasons. All of you got yourselves too much in debt. Companies got themselves too much in debt. Local government, state government, federal government got too much in debt. When you have a recession based upon people getting in debt, you've got to work your way slowly out of it. We're doing it, but it just is a long, slow process. The other fact is, I don't care who's president, you explain to me how you're going to get the Greeks to do what we want them to, or the Spanish, or the Irish, or anybody else. This is just long and slow, but as you could see from the numbers I showed you a minute ago, it is in fact starting to improve. Now then we have these guys. The United States Congress, when it's not in session, we tend to see consumer sentiment go up. When they're in session, it goes back down again. They're out of session right now, and I can prove this in a minute. But here's our great fear. The great fear is the fiscal cliff. Two things are going to happen between November and January. One, the Bush tax cuts will end unless they cut a budget deal. Two, they couldn't get their work done in the last session, so they cut a deal that said massive cuts in defense, massive cuts in domestic product. Now, if I take money away from you, if you're the country and I pull money away from you, you can't spend it. If at the same time I cut spending at the federal level, it's not getting spent there either. You pull that much demand out of the economy, I guarantee you a major recession next year that may be almost as bad as the one we're recovering from. This is a time when hopefully the Congress gets its act together, because it's a matter of will. They can do it. The question is whether they do or not, and it's a big fear. Now, these are the unemployment rates in the United States for major metropolitan areas with 1 million or more people. These are the 30 that have the highest unemployment. The yellow bars on here are in California. That line is what the U.S. unadjusted unemployment rate, which was 8.6 in July. Unadjusted means we did, all the other numbers at the locals are not seasonally adjusted. So anything above that, of which you see in California, the San Francisco Bay Area and Orange County, less than the national. There's the state unemployment rate. You can see that a lot of places have lower unemployment than the state as a whole. Below that are, unfortunately, two areas. One is LA. Whoops, sorry. There's the Inland Empire at 11. That's LA at 11.9, and where are we? We're down at 12.7. Now, we really like Las Vegas. Why? Because it's the only place in the country with a higher unemployment than we have, so we're not at the top. Now, with that background, there is some good news, particularly locally. Let's take a look at it. Here is a chart of employment. Now, in the introduction, it said I've been studying this stuff for 45 years. Actually, it's 48. I started teaching at San Bernardino Valley College at the ripe old age of 22. I am now 71. I've been studying this region and all that time. Some of you actually were born when I started teaching. If you see those blue bars, you'll notice they're all positive, going all the way back to 84. And that includes the steep aerospace defense recession that went on when the end of the Cold War. If you ran those over to the wall, which is about the time I started teaching, all the bars would be positive. We never had a year when we lost jobs year over year in this area until we got here to 2008. 2008, 2009, 2010, in that period of time, you can see we lost, there's 90, there's 47, so that's 137, 137 and 8, we lost 145,000 jobs in those 3 years. So something broke that had not been broken for us before. But the good news is, notice these two are both positive. We've started coming back. This year so far, if the rest of the year looks like it's been for the first 8 months, we'll be up 18,438 jobs. The fact is, the last 3 months, we've been up over 25,000. So it has been strengthening as the year has gone on without housing, which is pretty amazing. Now, what's been going up? Well, these are the sectors that are lower paying in red. Employment agencies, that's part-time work. Social assistance, obviously with our recession going on. There is hotel, that's largely Coachella Valley. Amusement, a lot of that in Coachella. Other services are like auto mechanics. The negatives are agriculture, which as a sector is prospering, but not in employment, mostly because of exported goods. Then restaurants are basically flat. This is the odd one. We'll see in a while that retail sales have gone up, but retail employment has not, which is kind of strange, but it basically means we had a staff, we're now really using them heavily, we're not adding to it. These are the blue-collar sectors. Distribution and transportation. You look up at Paris, you go up the Merino Valley, you go to Redlands, to San Bernardino, you look at the West End. What are you seeing? Large numbers of very large facilities. In July, we're up 5,800 jobs. In August, it's up almost 7,000. This is the sector that is dominant in terms of adding jobs for blue-collar workers. Here is construction. For the first time in a long time, it's positive. Now, is that home construction? Maybe a little bit. Fundamentally, the growth there is infrastructure plus the building of large warehousing and distribution and manufacturing facilities. Manufacturing started the year out roaring. We're up at 2,500 jobs. But as the year has gone on, it's slowed down. That really has a lot to do with the world economy slowing down. The next set of sectors are in green here. These are sectors that are essentially white collar, pay about what blue collar pays, maybe a little more or a little less depending on which one. Administrative support is a large number of sectors that take care of other businesses. Healthcare is the one sector that never slowed down. Throughout the whole recession, it added all the way through, frankly, because our area is underserved in terms of that sector, given the size of our population. Several of them are negative. Telecom, publishing, and other. Frankly, that's places like the Press Enterprise, the Sun. Newspapers have been cutting back. That's a technical change because of the internet and the way a lot of you receive information, not through papers, but online and things like that now. Financial activities, that's the hangover of the mortgage crisis. And then K through 12 education is the state budget. Finally, the highest paying sectors up here, utilities is really the only one adding jobs. What we see is local government, well-paying, management and professions, higher education, federal and state. Notice government, government, government. This is the budget problems we're facing. They're always out of step by a year. They continue growing for a while when the rest of the economy shrinks. Then the budgets come in and they shrink later. So that's a bit of an anchor that we're having going. If we look at the sectors growing, they've added 30,500 jobs. The sectors shrinking have lost 5,500. So a net gain there of 25,000. That's July. August just came in. It was up 25.5. So each month in the year, the economy's gotten a little bit stronger. Here is what's grown. You had 1,100 negative in the public sector, but 26,100 positive in the private sector. Now, there is a test before you can leave. If you don't pass it, you have to pay double for your dinner. It's a little bit of economic theory. I apologize for that, but I am a former college professor. Stop and think of an old Clint Eastwood movie where they found gold someplace where there was no economy. Now, what went on? The gold is sent away because you really can't do anything with it, and it brings money to these guys. So you now have the basis for an economy. Now, miners have needs. One of the things they need is food and tools. So you have a general store. No mine, no general store. The base of the economy is down here, not up there. That is a secondary effect because money came to someplace. They need entertainment, so you have the saloon. Again, people who work at the saloon, they don't have any money without the gold mine. This is the key. Now you all know that minors have other needs, but we will stop the example at this point. Now here's what you have. What are our gold mines? What is it in the Inland Empire that brings the money that goes through the rest of the system? Number one, manufacturing. Number two, logistics and distribution. Number three, construction when it's active. And number four, healthcare. Those four sectors bring the largest shares of money into the economy that then power the modern equivalents of this general store and the saloon, which is